sunny, gorgeous to look at lawns and see if there's any cool decorations, and generally just meander and talk about spooky stuff. In case you didn't know it, tomorrow's Halloween. With everything else going on in the world, it seems sort of a mute Halloween. There's a lot of energy for the established professional haunts, but I think Halloween in general this year, it's kind of gonna be low key. Even though it's a 3-day weekend, I don't know if it's going to be the 3-day weekend Halloween of yore, because it's just kind of a scary real time to be out and about with everything that's going on in the world. So, ooh, look at that. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a huge wolf spider there. Talk about Halloween. There, right there. Hi, baby. What the fuck is this Halloween thing anyways? I guess is what we have to talk about. Is this relate to gaming in any way, shape, or form? You know, all my advice eventually sort of wheedles its way back to being about gaming. Real life is the best source for gaming material. So, what is Halloween? Okay, I mean, Halloween 2025, Halloween for the past 25, 30 years has been about candy and scaring people and decorations and getting drunk and women in incredibly tight clothing. And that's pretty much been it. It's also been about like serial killers and monsters and, you know, stuff like that. And the whole Hollywood Michael Myers slashy McSlashy stuff. But what is Halloween? What voice is this? Where does the Halloween come from? Sounds like Woody Allen, I think. Here is some decorations. Is that a Halloween snowman? Because that would be awesome. If it is. It is. Check. You see it? It's a Halloween snowman. And there's a random skull. Somebody's going to steal that. You know, that's probably one of the reasons why people don't decorate as much as they used to, is because stuff gets stolen. Why waste $100, $200 on stuff only to have it get stolen? Right, we're going this direction today. So, what is Halloween? Car. Where does it come from? Well, Halloween is not demons and devils and monsters and human sacrifices and black cats. No, that's all media stuff, and the crazy woman walking through the Home Depot complaining about the decorations and, you know, get yourself to church, you know. No, that's Halloween has nothing to do with that. In fact, most of Halloween, as we know it today, is based upon stuff that the Roman Catholic Church borrowed in the attempts to convert people to Catholicism. Oh no, you've been worshiping our thing all the time, just under a different name. Or a different, oh yeah, they did that all the time. Don't even bother saying it now. Christmas trees. Most holidays were based upon something else, and then the Roman Catholic Church comes along and goes, oh no, that's our holiday. You've just been worshiping it under a different name. So you have to go all the way back, because Halloween predates Catholicism. It goes back to the earliest days of people in specifically the Celts, but also Native Americans, and just generally people understanding that, hey, winter is coming. We need to bring in the crops, and we need to celebrate the end of a successful crop season. We got all the crops in, we're ready for winter, let's celebrate. Oop, dog. Hi, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, thank you.
Happy Halloween, dude. Happy Halloween, dog. So yeah, it's a harvest festival. In fact, before the Roman Catholic Church changed it, it was the end of the year, the Day of the Dead, when the year 2 dies. So all this other stuff, that got added on afterwards was Hollywood. And the whole candy, decoration, scary stuff was all basically candy companies and greeting cards at companies, and coming up with ideas of, oh, hello, squirrel. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Coming up with stuff to make money on the off holiday, right? Because, well, we had Christmas, and then we got a long run. What are things we can make money off of since Christmas is done? Well, we can do Valentine's Day. Okay, we can make money off Valentine's Day. That takes us into the summer. What can we make money off in the summer? Oh, well, patriotism, 4th of July. We can sell candy and stuff like that. Make money off that. Okay, what can we make money off after Halloween, after summer, but before Thanksgiving? Halloween? Nobody's really doing anything with Halloween. We could do, yeah. So, Halloween today, the Home Depot, Spirit Halloween, giving out candy. That's all new. That has nothing to do with demons, devils, the Roman Catholic Church, anything. It's money. It's merchandising. That's it. Halloween, as we know it, before anything else was added to it, Harvest Festival. Harvest festivals were incredibly important back then for lots of reasons. First, hey, we made it. It was a way to celebrate a successful harvest and know that you had enough food to make it through the long, dark winter. It was a way to reestablish connections with people you might have not have seen for a long time, because, how often did people way back when actually have reasons to get together? 3-4 times a year. Other than that, it was kind of your tight little community, and another tight little community, and another tight little community. And if they weren't trying to kill each other, they never really had any reason to talk to each other. So harvest festivals and equinox festivals and all that stuff was great ways to establish connections, which is, what Halloween originally was all about. Just plus, winter's coming. We could, maybe my daughter from this tribe and your son from that tribe, we could hook them up and strengthen the connections between our tribes. And so that, when summer comes around, we have some new members in both tribes, and our tribes are longer. So it was that, it was a time of trade. I'll trade you 3 cows for 3 sheep. It was a celebration. Let's celebrate. We made it through another harvest festival, because we're probably not going to see any of you guys again till February. And then the long winter set in, and we sat around telling stories and eating the preserved food and just sort of waiting out. And maybe there was some hanky-panky going on, but mostly it was just, okay, now we got to make it through to February. And then we have Spring Festival, which became Valentine's Day. So where's the other stuff come from? Well, I'm not sure why it ended up being jack-o'-lanterns. But at some point in time, people realized, it's Spanish. At some point in time, people realized, if I put a candle out and it's really, really windy, that candle's going to get knocked over. If I put a candle out and it's raining, well, that was pointless. How am I going to tell people where my house is? And how am I going to find my way around in the dark, which is happening earlier every hour because it's winter, if when I put torches out, they burn out? Maybe I can put them in something heavy. So that's how it started, was basically hollowing out gourds and putting the lights in them. The gourds were, oop, there we go. Oh, let's go. There we go. Here's one. There we go. These guys usually do a really good job. Giant paper mache pumpkins, it looks like. Has this horseman. Some plastic pumpkins. These little homemade scarecrows. This dude. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you put a light in a gourd, put the gourd outside. Gourd doesn't fall over when it's windy, and the gourd protects it from the rain because you get the top on the gourd. Brilliant. At some point in time, it became pumpkins, and then at some point in time, they started carving faces in the pumpkins because why not? And then at some point in time, it became associated with, I'm using this to hide from the spirits. Which brings us to the next time thing, the whole Walking Dead thing. When did that become a thing? Because it wasn't a European thing. As far as most Europeans were concerned, they didn't want to have anything to do with the Walking Dead. You were in the ground, you were in the ground. But Mesoamerica, what we now know as Deus de la Muerte, that was a huge thing. Here we go. These people have got something going on. Oh, look at this one. This is cute. They got the thing. They got a whole little Halloween tree set up. Not spooky, but charming and cute. This is the kind of Halloween I like to see. This is cute. There's one over there. So, best guess, the whole barrier between the land of the living and the dead being thinner, and our ghosts, our spirits can cross over, and we can talk to our relatives who died during the year. That's Mesoamerican, early Mesoamerican, Hispania, Spain, Mexico, stuff like that. Looks like we've got a little skeleton thing going on. I like seeing more and more of these. The little skeleton parties. Guess it's like a skeleton hot tub going on. That's cute. So of course, when we came over here and brought our European ideas of what the Harvest Festival is, and we encountered the people, the Mesoamericans, with their ideas of the Harvest Festival and the land, the barrier between the living and the dead being thinner, we incorporated it, and that became Halloween. Now, the origins of the whole Walking Dead, that wasn't spooky. It wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. It was a chance to reconnect with your loved ones. That's why, Deus de la Muerte is a celebration. And not, about, dead Uncle Harvey has come back, we need to bury us. No, it's hi, dead Uncle Harvey. We want you to know we remember you, and we still celebrate you, and we love you. It was a celebration of life, and a celebration of connecting, and all that other stuff that we like to talk about. That is, again, cycles back to the association with harvest festivals. And those are the two big ones. And then we go to the why do we wear masks? Where did that come from? Best guess, again, remember this is all hypothesis based upon anthropological and historical studies, but unless you were there, we don't know 100% what's true. We're like 80, 90%. This is what we think was happening, but really we can never know for sure, right? We weren't there. We can only base it upon what we found records-wise. So at some point in time, people got the idea that if I dress up like a spirit, they'll be more likely to talk to me, and they won't mistake me for somebody who's living. Because about then, they also caught the whole thing about pranks, that the spirits were doing pranks, that the fairies were coming out to do pranks on people. Well, you didn't want the fairies and the spirits to pull pranks on you, so you dressed up like one of them, so they left you alone. They mistook you for one of them, so they wouldn't, trick or treat. So people were dressing up like spirits, like ghosts, like whatever. So the ghosts would think they were one of them. And if you're one of them, I'm not going to pull a trick on you. Which leads to trick or treat, leaving bribes out for the spirits. Well, what if the spirit comes to the house and I'm not there because I'm celebrating the harvest somewhere else? How is the spirit going to know that I still respect it? I'll leave a present out for it. So they left sweet cakes and treats and whatever was excess, It was another way to show that, look, I have enough food to support my family, but I also have enough food to support you, Uncle Harvey, who's come back from the dead. Look how well I have managed this year that I have extras. But then also, what if Uncle Harvey came to the house and you weren't there? So you left treats out for him. So Uncle Harvey wouldn't trick you. So there we've got the biggies, right? We've got the group of people getting together to celebrate the start of winter and the end of the harvest festival, the end of the year. And with that, we get trade and we get, weddings, and we get everything that would happen at an end of the year fall festival. Then we have the whole putting lights in heavy things so they don't get knocked over, which eventually leads to putting lights in jack-o'-lanterns, which eventually leads to let's make the jack-o'-lantern look like a face, because why not? Which then leads to all the stories about jack-o'-lanterns and whatever. But yeah, basically it was so it didn't fall over. And then leads the whole Mesoamerican harvest festival and the Mesoamerican idea that this is the day between the barrier and the living and the dead is the weakest. So let's celebrate them. Let's have parties to celebrate the dead. And we're going to dress up like them so they're more willing to party with us. But more importantly, they're not going to pull tricks on us, okay? If I dress up like a ghost, the ghost isn't going to pull tricks on me. And then finally we get to the candy. Finally we get to the thing that we most associate with Halloween, leaving out the treats. And again, that was to appease the pranksters, to appease the fall fairies, to appease the dead. I'm not home. Do not pull a trick on my house. Here's some candy. So that was it. That was Halloween until maybe the Salem witch trials. Now, why is that day the day when we think the barrier between the living and the dead is at its weakest? No clue. No clue. Randomly chosen for all we know. Something that somebody read somewhere and went, yeah, it's October 31st. Of course, back then it wasn't October 31st. It was just another day, an agreed upon day. Right? Because we didn't have calendars. I have no idea where I am, by the way. So that's pretty much Halloween, harvest festival, celebration of life, celebration of we made it, celebration of we recognize those who have passed on by celebrating their memory, celebration of, hey, do not put pranks on us, spirits, because we acknowledge you exist. Yeah, so that, and then the negative stuff got started adding in, probably with sometime around the Salem witch trials, sometime after the calendar was switched, sometimes about the time that the European religions became very puritanical and very much us versus them, and very much anything we don't understand is the work of the devil. And then we start clapping in, the friendly spirits became ghosts, hurtful ghosts, which eventually just became all the dead, all the whole Walking Dead thing. Ghosts, zombies, vampires. Let's just mass them all together, thanks to pop culture of the time, and books, and religion, and just start slowly, hey, this is the day when the gates to hell open, and all these horrible things come out. We need to protect ourselves. So then we start getting the negative connotations. And Halloween becomes a bad thing. This leads us probably to, modern times. Trick-or-treating, the farthest we can date it back is like 30s, 40s, at least the farthest back for photographic proof is like the 30s, maybe the 20s. I'm sure it might have happened before then. But, a kid putting on a mask that represents a character. The earliest photos are, black and white pictures. So now we're like, starting to find ways to monetize this sort of forgotten holiday, because it was still very secular, very associated with very specific cultures at a very specific point in time. How can we monetize this? Because now there's enough people in America that are melting pot together, and we're corporate America, 1930s, and there's no holiday we can make money off of right now. Well, what we can do, corporate America, 1930s, 1920s corporate America, is take this sort of ugly stepchild holiday, this Samhain thing, this Halloween thing, and start figuring out ways to monopolize it, monetize it. What if we take the idea of candy, trick-or-treating? What if we start selling these costumes? And then, sometime around the late 30s, early 40s, as the cinema became a thing and people were like reading the pulps, is there a way I could monetize these movies? Is there a way I can monetize the pulps? What if I made a costume so a kid could dress up like Doc Savage, the Phantom, the Shadow, Laurel and Hardy, and then lo and behold, the Holy Grail. Walt Disney and Warner Brothers start making cartoons, and kids fall in love with cartoons. And corporate America in 1930s, 1940s goes, hey, what if we made costumes that looked like the characters from these cartoons, and we told kids that the day they could go out and terrorize their neighborhood was, I don't know, October 31st. And then we tell the neighbors the best way to prevent these kids in these costumes from terrorizing your house is to give them candy. And isn't it nice? We've just started making candy in easy to sell, easy to buy. I have no fucking clue where I am. Candy. So here you go. Here's some handheld candy. Blah, blah, blah. So there we go. And then people started saying, hey, you could walk through my house and see my directions. And then Hollywood saw that around the late 60s, early 70s, because this is like the earliest I remember Halloween, you had the, Knox Scary Farm. You had the JCs doing their little Halloween things, because I remember going through a JC haunted house in the late 70s, early 80s. So it was a thing. But they were just sort of themeless and rambling, and just didn't really, and you might see somebody with a decoration on their lawn, but it wasn't really a thing. So Halloween, again, corporate America finds a way to ramp this up. How can we sell this? How can we sell this to get people to go through houses, to go to lawns, to spend money to compete with their neighbors in the contest of scoopiness? And that leads us to modern haunts today. And that's pretty much it, right? I'm totally lost, guys. I have no idea where the fuck I am. Pretty much leads us to today. And then the whole negative association with Halloween, that's also relatively new. That's like, satanic panic shit. If you put decorations on your lawn, you're the spawn of the devil. That's relatively new in the grand historical thing. Because first Halloween was a celebration. Then it was just kind of nothing. And then it came sort of back. And then it kind of went away. And then it came back. And then it went away. And then it came back huge. Because now we had the lawns and the lows and the decorations and people, professional walk-through haunts like Fear Factory and Dent Schoolhouse, and every year somebody else was doing a bigger, better decoration. Somebody else was doing a bigger, better house. Somebody else was doing a professional house. All the amusement parks start doing houses. Knox is doing it, we should doing it. And somewhere the candy companies are going, hey, more candies. And all these other companies are going, how can I make money off of this? How can I make money off of this? And now Halloween is a party where people get dressed up and get drunk and hand out candy to kids and decorate their lawns in little contests to see who can come up with the best lawn, and generally try and have a safe, happy, healthy celebration of the end of winter. And we're going to have a party. And who knows, maybe some people hook up on the party, and maybe some deals are made to see if we can make more money next year. And maybe in a weird way, Halloween has come back to what it originally was. Especially this year, where I think a lot of people, oh, there's one, are not going to be going out. They're going to be doing the walk-through organized haunts. They're going to be having parties. And it's a 3-day weekend. So it'll be like it originally was. Let's just celebrate the fact that we made it through this fucked up year. Get a little drunk, hand out a little candy, put some decorations on the lawn. Maybe Susan and Joey, Okay, sadly, no. If our Uncle Harvey did come back, we missed him because we were too busy partying. But generally, it's all just about having fun. So, yeah. Sugar Tank says he loves my videos and wants to stop at Vanalo's. Thank you. She turns 18 in 12 months. Your wife turns 18 in 12 months, but you've been married for 10 years. You married your wife when she was 8. If you're gonna bot spam me, don't have your bot spam sound like you're some kind of weird pedo dude. Because now I gotta report you and shit. That's really scary. All right, so let's wrap this little Halloween live stream up with a little known Los Angeles, California, San Fernando Valley spooky tradition that has been consistently been wrong. Harry Houdini, greatest magician in the world famous escape artist, world famous debunker of the supernatural, amateur detective, had his house, Laurel Canyon, Studio City. He dies through mysterious circumstances. He tells his wife, I'll come back. If I can come back, I will come back on Halloween. And much like the Winchester Mystery House, the wife builds the house so there are ways for him to come back. This rumor starts spreading that Harry Houdini is going to come back from the dead on Halloween. People start going to the property on Laurel Canyon that they believe is where Harry Houdini's house was. And they go and they wait for Harry Houdini's ghost to come through the doorways. And they have been doing this on and off for 6 to 70s. Little known fact, the house that they have been parking at is not Harry Houdini's house. They've been parking at the wrong house. Harry Houdini's house is across the street. So all these years, people have been waiting at the wrong address for Harry Houdini's ghost. Meanwhile, across the street, for all you know, Harry Houdini's ghost came out and didn't see anybody, and he's like, oh, well, I guess nobody cared that I came back from the dead. So, there you go. Now, I think if you look up LA haunted history or go to Grim Life collections, they have since corrected the mistake, and now people know where the right house is. But for the longest time, people were going to the wrong house. And that's just sort of weird. And that's it. That's all I have to say about Halloween in this rambling. We saw some lawns. It was fun. But now it's getting hot and yucky. So time to head back home. Please be safe tomorrow night. Don't do anything too stupid. I mean, enjoy it, celebrate it, but don't drive drunk. Have a designated driver. Don't let your kids stay out too late because it is scary out there. Stay in public groups because ice and just generally people are, weird and awful. If you have pets, especially if you have a cat, especially if you have a black cat, keep them inside. People still do awful things to animals on Halloween. But just, to quote my favorite Halloween movie, Trick or Treat, as long as you follow the rules, you'll be all right. Till next time, if you appreciate this goofiness that is the OGGM, please consider donating by clicking the Ko-Fi link down below or heading over to drive-thru. Use my drive-thru link to pick yourself up some Halloween adventures. Best of all, I've got product on drive-thru that's marked down for sale through the end of the year. So it's a great time to discover the product of me before we start whatever my next year 2026 project is going to be. Probably rewriting my post-apocalypse game and maybe doing a high fantasy game. I think there's an unofficial challenge between myself and Corpse King, so that may be a thing. Hopefully we'll have some end of the year interviews coming up, but on the Day of the Dead when the year 2 dies, this is the OGGM wishing you a safe, happy, healthy, wacky Halloween. And we'll talk to you later, Spookingtons. See ya.